Awesome. We'll just wait a couple minutes, see if people are going to start logging on. Hi everyone, thank you for being here this evening. We're just going to wait a couple minutes to let everybody log on and get settled, and we'll get started with our chat in just a moment. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box while you're waiting. You can happily put questions for our special guest today in the chat or into the Q&A. And again, we'll get started in just a minute. All right, let's get started. Welcome to Book Chat. We're here tonight with special guest author Danielle Lincoln Hanna. We encourage you to use the chat box to interact with each other and us while we're talking. We'll have a short Q&A with Danielle after we interview her. So feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A box. You can include your name and pronouns if you would like your name to be shared. Welcome to the Milwaukee Public Library Book Chat program. We've been doing this for a few months now throughout the past year. I am Beth. I usually work at the Milwaukee Public Library East Branch, which is over on the east side of Milwaukee. And we focus on a different theme every month. And joining me tonight is my co-host Mary, who usually works at the King Branch. Also, tonight, I'm going to throw it over to Mary to introduce you to our special guest.
Hi, so our guest this month is Danielle Lincoln Hanna. Danielle is the author of the Mailboat Suspense Series set in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. She now lives in the Rocky Mountains of Montana, but her first love is the Great Plains of North Dakota, where she was born. When she's not writing, you can find her hiking with her boyfriend, Charles, adventuring with her German Shepherd, Angel, and avoiding surprise attacks from her cat, Fergus. Welcome, Danielle. We're really happy that you could join us this month.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much.
What drew you to write about a series of books centered around the mailboat and Lake Geneva?
Oh, well, that's a bit of a fun story. As you just read in my bio, I'm originally from North Dakota. I am now from Montana. But I love writing about unique things. And back when I was still in North Dakota, I heard about this boat out in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin that delivers the mail house to house around the lake. And I was absolutely fascinated. I was fascinated by the mail jumpers and the excitement and athleticism of the whole thing. And I was like, oh, I could write a story about that. And so, yeah, I got started on that. The first book in the series came out in 2016, and there are now 4 books in the main series plus a prequel novella. So it's kept me good and busy for a good long while.
That's awesome. I wanted to, before we turn our slides off, I wanted to share this one that I found in a local newspaper from Lake Geneva showing, I think, that the mail, and call them the mail jumper.
Mm-hmm.
Before I turn it off in one of the covers of your books. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for that. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
So without any massive spoilers, I know, it's a series, and could you maybe give our guests a rundown of what the series is about, some of the main characters, and what's going on in your world in this universe created?
Absolutely. So primarily it's the story of a teenage girl in foster care. All she wants is to finally get a family of her own. And instead she finds a body at the end of someone's pier, and thus starts the mystery. But to go into a little bit more detail, so the main character is noted. Her name is Bailey. She's been a foster kid most of her life. She's just really searching for some degree of stability, people she could actually rely on. And I think a little bit to her surprise, when really good, helpful people finally start showing up in her life, she's actually a little bit like, oh, I don't even know if I trust this. So that gives her a lot of struggles to overcome. Another main character in the series is the captain of the boat, who is one of those stable people that she could learn to rely on. We've also got 2 police officers. One of them is a police detective named Monica Steele, and the other one is a street cop named Ryan Brandt. And the fun bit about their story is that they are each other's ex, and they accidentally ended up both working at their home department again without planning it, and plenty of fireworks ensue. So that's a really fun angle.
I for one love that.
Oh, good.
That's my jam.
Oh yeah, they keep it exciting.
I love that. I love that so much. I have to know, did you ever go on the mailboat while you were researching your series? And did you try the jump?
Oh yeah, they I first reached out to the Lake Geneva cruise line in 2014 when I was looking to do some research for the series, and I asked them if I could come out and job shadow the crew for a few days, and they said, sure, come on over. And on one of those days I said, so can I try mail jumping? And to my delight, they said yes. And so yeah, I've actually tried mail jumping. I did pretty decently, which I was not expecting, but also I hadn't stopped to ask myself if I was even going to be any good at this. I just had to do it for research, but I ended up being all right at it. And when we got back to the pier, they actually talked about maybe hiring me.
Cool.
So that was extremely flattering.
Add that to your resume on the back of your bio on the back of your book.
It's true. P.S. I have jumped mail.
I love that. Something else that really drew me to your story essentially was Bailey's character and how she's part of the foster system. What drew you to telling her story and, you know, putting her in that situation? Why was that compelling for you as a writer to investigate?
So the way I write a story, I'm very much characters first. I write very character-driven plots and stories. And I've very quickly learned that anytime I try to tell my characters who they are or what happens to them, they quit talking to me and nothing happens. So I just have to sit back and let them be whatever it is they want to be. And when Bailey began to form in my mind, she began to show me that she was a foster child. And I was like, well, we can't do that. I don't know anything about foster care. And she said, well, too bad, you better start learning. So I did. I committed myself to doing some research and trying to understand what her situation might be like. Yeah, I have to say I've had people walk up to me and say that they find the hardships and straight up abuse that Bailey experienced in foster care to be completely unbelievable. To which my reply is, I'd probably take it to the nth, but unfortunately there is a lot of abuse that happens in foster care. And if you get on Google or YouTube or whatever and just type in the words foster care story, you will find lots and lots and lots of kids from foster care telling their stories, and absolutely none of them are happy. I mean, maybe there's some good moments, but you keep hearing all these heartbreaking stories. So that's become a big part of this journey for me, is just trying to understand what this is like for some of these unfortunate kids and maybe bring a little bit more of awareness to it too. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you're doing a fantastic job of that with this book. And it was one of, a very compelling thing while I was reading the first one. Let's see. Mary, I think
Yeah. I've read all three of your books. I really enjoyed them, and I'm anxiously looking forward to reading book 4.
Cool.
I love Bailey. Was there any, you talked a little bit about how you researched foster care children, but was there anything in particular that stood out that became your inspiration for Bailey?
Not so much through the research. I get asked frequently, like people will come up to me and they'll look at me and they'll say, "Are you Bailey?" To which I'll just be like, yes. And the somewhat more detailed answer to that, I was not a foster child myself. And I was never physically or sexually abused as Bailey is in the story. But I was emotionally and psychologically abused when I was a kid. And my opinion is that those kinds of abuse, the emotional and psychological, really are the underpinnings to any kind of abuse. I mean, people always ask, like, how do people stay in an abusive situation? Why don't they just leave? Why don't they put their foot down? And the answer is they've been conditioned and their circumstances have been controlled. And they literally usually look to their abuser as the only person they can trust. And that's a really horrible irony, but it's pretty true. And so the irony for me was that when I started researching what I needed to know in order to write Bailey's circumstances, I started off by telling her, there's no way I can write your perspective. I don't know anything about this. She said, just do it. And when I started doing the research, I started realizing, okay, so even though our circumstances have been different, not identical by any means, the ways in which they affected us were very similar. And so when it comes to Bailey's feelings, those are actually coming from a pretty personal place.
How has it been this last year doing the whole virtual thing? You were at the Milwaukee Library 2 years ago. Do you miss not being able to visit as many places in person?
I miss it horribly.
Yeah.
Last year was the first year that I was not in Lake Geneva since 2014. I've been back every summer since, except for 2020, to do research and my book signing tours. And last year I was just like, none of this looks good. I'm staying home. And it was the worst, honestly. I have got some wonderful fans who always meet me at the Zablocki branch. I look forward to seeing them every year. And yeah, so just not being there last year, and I'm not going to be there this year either because everything was still so up in the air. And that does make me really, really sad.
I think the manager from Zablocki is in our audience tonight and says they miss you having you as well. So thanks, Dave.
Next summer.
Mark it down.
Yes.
So that must mean there's going to be a book 5.
Yep. And in really fun news, a lot of it's already written, actually. So I believe that one should be out next summer. We'll see.
So that means there'll be another cliffhanger, doesn't there?
I think there's going to be about 8-ish books in this series altogether. So around 8-ish.
Okay, good.
People want to know, is there ever an end? Yes, there is. And we are getting there.
Oh, well, I'm not ready for it to end. So keep it going.
Okay. See, the minute I end it, I'm sure they're going to be like, can you come up with a spinoff?
Yeah, exactly. So you live in Montana now, and you told me you live in Missoula. What is your absolute favorite thing about living in Montana, and what do you love about Missoula?
First and foremost, my boyfriend, Charles.
That helps.
Oh yeah. I've only been here for, I think it's like 5 years now. He is 6th generation Montanan. So yep. I found a strapping, handsome ranch boy. So that is first and foremost my favorite thing. Gosh, if I had to pick a second one, I think I think one of my favorite things that's coming to the top of my mind right now is our brand new library here in Missoula.
Yep.
They built it during the pandemic.
Yep.
Which was
I heard
extremely
about
challenging. Yep. And it finally opened to the public this past spring or somewhere not too long ago. And and I walked in to have a look around and see what all we had there, and it's just amazing. It is infinitely larger than our past library. So many more amenities. The book collection, which is quite sizable, is only it only occupies one of 4 floors, if that tells you anything. We've got, wonderful conference and event spaces there. There's a maker's space where they have a lot of equipment and stuff.
Nice.
Like if you didn't have you want to make something, you don't have the tools for it, they might have it at the library and you can just go there and use it. They've got audio and video recording studios. It's just insane, all the things they have. And so I am completely enamored with our new library.
Excellent. Whenever I go to
Awesome.
visit my friend in Missoula, we always stop in at Rock and Rudy's. That's just, and the place is just full of so much stuff, I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's
Yep.
here in Wisconsin, I suppose it's a little bit like Winkies, but on a far bigger scale.
Mm.
I mean,
They're
there are
pretty
just so
iconic
Got
here,
a
yeah.
visual.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are
Pretty
just
iconic
so many
store.
unique things to find there at Rock and Rudy's. So it's really
Yep.
fun. I love visiting Montana.
It's a great place.
I have only driven through it once. It was a
You
big,
should
like,
stop there.
yeah, it was a long time ago, and I need to do a big road trip again like that someday. It was
There you go. You will find yourself spending the vast majority of your road trip in Montana because it is so huge.
yeah, that's what
Just so you know.
remember. Yep, it's a lot straight across.
Yep.
Love it. And everything's been going okay with, the weather and the fires and everything near you. I know that's been kind of a concern.
It's been the temperatures have been in the 90s almost all summer long, which is pretty impressive. We've only just started getting some relief from that within like the last week or so. And some rain, which is much needed. But yeah, I want to say for the last 3-4 weeks, there's been a lot of smoke in the air. Missoula is in a relatively small valley, and if it gives you some concept of what the fires have been like around here, some days I look out my window and I cannot see the mountains right on the edge of the city. So it's been pretty intense. In fun news, Missoulians are incredibly environmentally aware. There's so much of biking and walking to where you need to go, and I'm seeing more and more e-cars on the streets. I myself would really like to get an e-car in the near future.
Me too.
So I would like to believe that things like that here and elsewhere might start helping with our extreme temperatures and our our expanding fire seasons that we're experiencing. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad the heat is breaking. We seem to be going into a big heat wave.
Maybe we finally bundled it up and sent it your way.
So we'll take it. That's okay. We'll take it.
Can we have your rain?
Yes. We had a big deluge the other day, and it was great to have because it was really dry here too, but it all came in a very short amount of time, which is not
right.
So
yeah,
here we are.
Yep.
Well,
2 more days of rain, they say.
Yeah. That's all right. Watch our rain barrel program on YouTube.
Yeah.
I have. You sort of answered my question, one of my last ones for you, which was, what role does the library play in your life, as a writer and just as a person in the world? And I appreciate you like your Missoula library so much. That's exciting. I have to look at photos online. Any other fun library stories or anything you've had to research that you were kind of not expecting when you were writing?
I want to say my connection to libraries starts from my earliest memories. I remember going to my local library when I was a kid, and just coming home with armloads of books. I learned how to read and write when I was 4, so thank goodness I had some good libraries nearby where I was growing up. And so I've just always had really fond memories, and I've always been, I think, just continually delighted across my entire lifetime, just realizing all of the things that libraries can offer. I mean, books is your staple, but audiobooks and movies. Yeah, I've brought lots of movies home from the library.
Yeah.
Now we have apps where you can get ebooks through your library. I've used those, and audiobooks you can get that way too now. So I have a lot of passion for libraries, and I don't see it ending anytime soon.
Yay.
It's such a brilliant concept that you can just walk into this place and have so much knowledge and information and entertainment and cultural experiences right at your very fingertips. And I'm just a huge fan.
I love that. I love that. Let's see. Mary, did you have any other questions?
No, I just put in the link, or in the chat, the link for places that you're going to be visiting. And it is starting on August 20th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Friday, August 20th through Sunday, the 22nd is when I will have events, and they're all basically around Geneva Lake. We're doing a very truncated tour this year. We more or less have to set it up starting back in like January, February of every year. And of course, you know, we had no idea what the situation was going to be like. So we said, let's just do a little bitty tour. If there was some kind of worst case scenario and we did have to pull the plug, it was, you know, just less investment on our end to have to set it up and everything. But the plan right now is that I will be there the 20th through the 22nd. But not at Zablocki.
Yeah, they're disappointed there.
Yeah, but we can't
Sorry,
even
guys.
have people, we can't even have events in the library anyway, so
Hopefully next year.
Absolutely, we will
Yeah.
keep you on loop. Let's see, so there's a couple questions in the chat. So we had kind of covered this before, but when can people expect your new book?
Mailboat 4 is out right now. It released August 1st. And you can get it basically anywhere you can think of. You'll probably be able to get your hands on it. There's my website, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. If you walk into your local bookstore, if they don't have it on the shelves, they should be able to order it in for you. So yeah, all the options. My ebooks are available for libraries to get a hold of too. So I don't know what libraries in that area have it, but if you ask them, they can get it if they want it. So.
Ask us, we'll tell you. I know for sure we've got the physical one coming, and for the ebooks, I think we can just do the overdrive. You can do the request for purchase option.
Yep.
Perfect.
Let's see. We answered that about, yes, you're coming to Lake Geneva. David would like to know what led you to a career as a writer.
Well, as I mentioned, I learned how to read and write when I was 4. I was jealous of my older brother and apparently threw a tantrum because I couldn't read and write. So therefore, my mom taught me how to read and write, which was a very good decision. I started writing stories immediately, and I was working on my first novel by the time I was 7, and that's when I decided I was going to be an author when I grew up. Here we are. So awesome. It's not so much what led me to a career as a writer. It's the fascinating fact that nothing ever led me away from it. So yeah, it's been a very straight shot.
That's excellent. I love that the most. Did you keep any of your old stuff that you kind of have hidden away, or? I
still have that novel that I was writing when I was 7. It remains unfinished, which is probably okay. But yeah, I still have, I think, almost everything I've ever written. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, excuse me.
That's so awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, I don't see any more specific questions in the chat. Everyone is welcome to keep putting a few in there. We'll have a little bit of time at the end if we can ask Danielle some more. So keep that up. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to phase over into our book recommendation part of events. So Danielle selected some excellent books, as well as Mary and I. So let me just pull that slideshow up really fast. Fast being awkward. All right. All right, everyone can see that. Yes.
Looks good to me.
Awesome. And then before we go much farther, I will just plug our amazing summer reading programs that we have going on. You have through the end of August to log all of your reading at mpl.beanstack.org. We started in mid-May, so if you have anything you need to backlog, you can totally do that. We have amazing prizes for kids, teens, and adults. For adults this year, if you log 5 books on our website, you will be entered into a grand prize drawing for a Milwaukee film membership, a bronze box, which is this amazing box full of locally made treats and goodies that will go along with your film festival membership, along with a variety of other prizes, including gift cards to Funky Fresh Spring Rolls, the Bronxville Collective, and signed copies of a book by a local author, Nevo, who was a book chat guest a while ago. So definitely check that out. We'll put the link in the chat. As we're going through the book recommendations, don't worry about having to write them down. In a few days, we'll send you a follow-up email with all the books, a link to the recording, and all the stuff that you would get from this presentation. All right, so when we were talking with Danielle before the program got started, she decided that a good theme would be with heart. So stories with heart that are also mysteries. So do you want to really explain to us, your choices, why you recommend them, and how they kind of fit that theme?
Yeah. So what I like to focus on when I'm writing a mystery or a suspense novel, yes, I like the excitement and the drama and trying to figure out the whodunit and all the stuff like that. But what I am keenly interested in is the experiences of all these people and what it means to them on a very personal level. In particular, I like dissecting the trauma and how to work through it and what to do about it, things like that. So when I tried to think of a few books that I felt also had a similar theme, first of all, I wish I knew of more. And if anyone has book recommendations for me, hopefully maybe Beth and Mary do. I'm definitely keenly interested in finding more authors who have a similar style, but these are the ones that came to mind for me. First and foremost, one of my all-time favorite series is the Brother Cadfael Mysteries by Ellis Peters. This was also a PBS program, which is how I first discovered them at my local library. And I've absolutely fallen in love with them. And one of the aspects that I love the most, that I also find very similar to my writing, is the author always has a couple of young characters, oftentimes some young characters in love, who end up entangled in the mystery and are trying to not only, solve the murders and whatnot, but just kind of get back to their lives, so to speak. And I just absolutely fall in love with these. I love the main character, Brother Cadfael, who is a Benedictine monk. He's also incredibly practical and sometimes very surprising. He doesn't fit all the stereotypes that you would expect of a monk. And so, yeah, I'm just perpetually delighted by this series. I'm currently listening to them all on audiobook right now, so that's fun. Another one that kind of came to mind, I really enjoyed reading The President is Missing by James Patterson and Bill Clinton. This is actually the first James Patterson novel I've ever read, and I was completely delighted by it. Some of the other top name suspense authors that I've read, I feel, do tend to focus a lot on just the drama and the excitement and catching the bad guy and all that. So I was so delighted to see Patterson and Clinton just delving more into the more personal experiences. In the story, the president voluntarily vanishes from the scene, which drives everybody crazy. The nation is just like, oh my goodness, what's happening? But what I love is just how they got so close to the fictional president's perspective and what everything going on inside his mind and all his fears and all his hopes, and a lot of nail biting. It was an incredibly good read. I was extremely happy with it. And I see they have a sequel now, which I might have to pick up. All right. And then the third book I recommended, Stranded by Dawn and Stephanie Pritchard. which I might have failed to mention this to Beth and Mary, but I refer to Stephanie as my grandma Steph. Because she's been a great friend, personal friend of mine, and a wonderful mentor to me. And I actually had the great privilege of being a bit of a critique partner for a lot of the early chapters in this novel. And I'm so proud of her and Dawn. I think they have at least 3 books in this series out now. It might be more by now. I think I've lost track. But yeah, this is such a great thriller, such a great suspense. Don draws from a lot of his experiences in the military to write this incredible novel of a bunch of people who get stranded on an island amidst a lot of dire circumstances and shady deeds going on. And again, I really love how it's not just about the drama and the excitement and the life or death, are we going to live through this? But she takes the time to get really close to those characters and, unpack what they are going through and how personally challenging all these circumstances are, and when everything is going completely wrong, taking the time to just spend some time with their thoughts and feelings like that. So those were my 3 top recommendations for this.
Awesome. I know the Ellis Peters one. I have a patron that comes to East, and she read all of them in like 2 weeks and was like, "Give me more." And I was like, "There's no more. You read them all." So I'm gonna have to hand her some of these other recommendations along with your books the next
There you go.
year.
I was gonna say another fun library story for me. Me and my family were just road tripping once, and we pulled over just to take a break from the car. We pulled over in a library parking lot, and I wandered in, and they had a book sale right up front.
Yes.
And I sat there to glance over the spines, and I had just discovered and fallen in love with the Brother Cadfael mysteries. And they had, I can't remember, like 5 to 8 of those books on sale, and I grabbed them all.
Just like,
Cool.
Oh, these are mine
that's
now.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yep.
I have to say, I like these original kind of stained glass looking covers so much. Ours don't have those, the ones I have in my library. It's like fine. They're still very beautiful, but not my preferred.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Danielle. And then I think, Mary, you're up next.
Yeah, so I chose Agatha Christie series as one of my selections. I just love Miss Marple. I haven't read too many of the books. I've watched mostly the series on television. And, I'll be honest, I do like the fact that she knits. Anybody that knows me knows that I knit constantly and, whatever. But I mean, she sits there and knits and doesn't miss a stitch. But I like her wit and her style, and she just really has a way of, really just nitpicking out the murderer, and have you ever noticed she seems to know a lot of people, or a lot of people she knows shows up wherever she's solving a murder. So her wit and her soft manner will endear her to you every time. And then my second series, these are all series, is the Guido Brunetti series by Donna Leone. It's wonderful that it's set in Italy and Venice, no less. And Guido is just another lovable character. He's never without a quick wit response to those he works with. His love for Venice will quickly rub off on you. And although he hates crime, he knows the criminal element is such that if they don't do it in Venice, they're gonna do it somewhere. And they might as well do it in Venice, where he can catch them. And then my third series is the Guido Gamachi series by Louise Penny. So I'll be honest, I haven't read the Guido Gamachi series, but I have had numerous people recommend Louise Penny to me. And so in the very near future, I'm hoping to sit down and work my way through some of her books. Her series are described as literary, not cozy. And Guido is, again, a man who pays impeccable attention to detail. He's patient, he's methodical, and Penny does a good job of drawing out the relationships with those whom Guido works closely with. So those are my picks.
Those are all really popular authors at Eats as
Mhm.
well. I'm sure at your location too, Mary. I can't keep
Yep.
Still Life on the shelf, I swear. Awesome. All right. Here are mine. So I'll admit I am not a huge mystery and thriller reader. I'm a big romance reader. So I like like when Danielle suggested, series and mysteries and thrillers, I focus on like the emotional aspects. I was like, yes, I can get behind that. Because that's what speaks to me as a reader too. It's all about those characters for me. My first pick is Dead Girl. Cover. It's gorgeous. It sets you immediately in place. You can guess that it is a book that is set in 1920s Harlem. It's about a young Black woman who is working at a cafe by day and at a speakeasy by night, and Black girls in her community in Harlem are showing up dead. So she is trying to solve the mystery and trying not to end up to be one of those girls. And then my second choice was again one that really immediately drew me in by the cover because it's a cute ice cream cone, but it's a skull. This is called A Deadly Inside Scoop by Abby Collette. And it is about a woman who is a recent MBA grad who takes over her family's ice cream shop, and it has a lot of troubles prior to opening. And as she struggles to reopen, they finally do right as the first snow hits town, which is kind of unfortunate when you're selling a cold treat. And they also find a dead body in the snow outside of the shop on its first day. So this series is all about when her family, her quirky friends, and them trying to help her succeed at this new business venture while also solving mysteries. So I would kind of say the first two that I chose are a little bit lighter in tone. Dead Girls is a little heavier. A Deadly Inside Scoop is more of a cozy, and then Bluebird by Attica Locke is a intense literary thriller and mystery, which has won some awards. And it's a series as well. I think the second one came out a couple of years ago. It's about a East Texas ranger who is Black, and he is really ambivalent about growing up Black in the Lone Star State and all of the racial tensions that comes along with that. He's trying to get as far away from Texas as he can until duty calls him home to his small town where two murders, a Black lawyer from Chicago and a local white woman, draw him into a really intensely divisive case that he needs to help solve. So it's very exhilarating. It's a very timely novel that will definitely take you through your paces. So those were my picks. Hope those sound good to everybody.
I was gonna say I've written down a couple titles here.
I love it. You have to let us know what you think.
I love that you chose some cozy titles. Cozy is so much fun.
Exactly. And I was like, I love the puns of cozy titles so very much.
Right?
Like in art form. We used to get to order the paperbacks for our location, and I will tell you a lot of the cozies. I was like, I like that pun. Yes.
Yep.
I think my favorite is still a series called Chili Con Carnage. That one made me giggle so hard.
That's so good. Oh my gosh.
You have to look that one up too.
Gotcha. Cozy titles in and of themselves are entertaining.
Yes, so good. It's so good. Okay, and like now we're gonna kind of wrap it up. I can't see the chat right now. So Mary, let me know if you see any other questions in there, but I'm gonna plug our book by book adult summer reading program just one more time. You can pick up one of these slips at any of our locations, or you can go online to enter any of these books will count. You just need a log 5, which isn't too bad at all. All right. I also need to plug the upcoming Cultures and Communities Festival. We are partnered with Milwaukee Film that runs September 6th through 12th. So save the date. You can buy tickets for that at milwaukeefilm.org. There'll be some great films. And then in just a couple weeks, I am hosting a crop of delightful rom-com authors, including Stacey Agner and Farah Heron, Melanie Johnson, Liz Lincoln, and Denise Williams for a rom-com madness program hosted by Romance Ever After podcast. It's going to be a hoot. We're going to laugh a lot. I think we're going to try to have them script a rom-com live for all of our attendees. So sign up for that. We can put the Zoom link into the chat, and we will also send that with a follow-up email. I hope to see you there. And that's really it for me and Mary and Danielle today. I'm going to stop the slideshow here.
And we don't have any questions in the chat or in the Q&A.
Excellent.
So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say again, thank you so much, Danielle, for joining us. I hope we get to see you soon back in Milwaukee at some point here.
Oh, I hope so too. One of my favorite restaurants is there. So
Yes,
What-
absolutely. Which one?
Which one is that?
what is it called? It is kind of on towards the north side. It's, I want to call it Nana's Asian Fusion. That's the name of it.
Yep.
So yes,
Fun place.
one year after my event at Zablocki, my boyfriend Charles and I were hungry, and we found that place, and it did not disappoint. So it's be 2 years I haven't been there, and it's a little crushing.
I've heard a lot of people say they like that place.
Oh, it is so good.
Yeah.
It's just very
I'm
flavorful.
gonna have to get there sometime.
Very good beverages too.
Yes, absolutely.
I do recommend.
Y'all there. Well, again, thank you so much for being here tonight, Danielle, and best of luck with your new book release. We're all
Yes.
excited to get that in the hands of our patrons, and
Mhm.
we'll be talking to you soon again, I'm sure.
Yep.
Have a
Sounds
wonderful
good.
rest of your night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Yeah, well,
Danielle.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
You should see a follow-up email from us in a few days. Thank
Yep.
you.
Sounds perfect.
Bye.
Bye-bye.